Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Sunday night football in this one. We got Bears, Texans. Real quick, college football Saturday. Man, I got absolutely smoked today. A lot of bad picks, and even the good picks I made somehow found a way to lose. Some bad picks on top of some really bad luck. Really disheartening. I want to say thank you to everyone because, man, days like this. Look, first of all, I love what I do for a living. Wouldn't trade this job. This job's awesome. I love it. But days like this, it's tough. It's like you're scared to look at your phone, right? It's not just because there's hateful comments on YouTube, whatever. Internet trolls are going to be internet trolls. But all the people that depend on you, right? Like people that are putting their trust in you and putting their money down on these games based on what you say. And it sucks feeling like you let them down, truly. And I just want to say thanks to everyone because I opened up my phone and I was sitting at like 1-7. I think I was legitimately 1-7, and I didn't have one negative comment. In fact, people in the group were being funny about it. And I really want to say I can't express how much I'm getting emotional about this. I can't express how appreciative I am of that because I remember a couple of years ago when I first started, before I was really like established and all that, these days were really rough. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for that, for being cool about, man, today sucked. Now I do have a few tickets open, and I mean, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, I grabbed a couple W's, got some of that money back. But again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being cool about this. What a rough day. But anyway, let's talk some NFL. Sunday night football, Bears, Texans in Houston.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, so like I said, Chicago's on the road in Houston for this one. Sunday night football. Line is now sitting at 6.5. This line originally opened up before week 1 at 3.5. But after week 1 happened, the Bears offense didn't look too great. Houston got the big win over the Colts. It reopened at, I think, 5.5, and now it's at 6.5. So yeah, line is sitting at 6.5. Total sitting at 45.5 pretty much across the board. So 6.5, 45.5. Now let's take a look at this data that you guys like. Now, according to this, again, I keep repeating this, please take this with a grain of salt. But according to the data they're giving us, public is on Chicago here with the sharp money on Houston. So according to this data, that's what it's saying. So Bears, Texans, let's talk about it. According to this chart here, the Bears have taken the last two. I mean, these two teams are so different than what they were 2 years ago that this is so irrelevant. But according to this, it looks like these two teams have split their last 4 games. Where we need to start here, though, Caleb Williams broke the curse, right? First rookie quarterback to win their debut game since 2002, since I believe it was David Carr with the Texans. I think that's the last one to do it. Now, he may have broken the curse in terms of winning the game, but as far as putting up a bad stat line, he stuck true to that. The last 9 first overall picks to start in week 1. 52.6% completions, 1.3 touchdowns to 2.1 interceptions, an average pass rating of 63.1. Caleb Williams, like I said, he got the win. Certainly didn't put up the best numbers here. 14 of 29, 93 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Actually, his 3.2 yards per pass attempt was the second lowest ever by a first-round pick in their debut. So statistically, he wasn't good at all, but you know what? What matters? W's and L's, he got the win. Now, I do think we need to cut Caleb Williams a little bit of slack here. I think this Titans defense is very undervalued. This is a pretty good defense last year, and they added a lot of key pieces to it. Look at that secondary. That secondary is brand new. They got Snead and Cheeto at corners now. Diggs at safety. They added Ernest Jones from the Rams. They added 2 linebackers. They drafted Sweat from Texas, Joseph Day from the Chargers. So this Titans defense that was already decent, they added some significant pieces. I expect this Titans defense to surprise some people this year. Certainly better than the Houston pass defense that he's about to see. Now, Houston was excellent against the run last year, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But as far as defending the pass, I mean, they were 25th in yards per pass attempt allowed, just 6.9 YPA, 20th in pass defense defense EPA, 23rd in pass defense DVOA. Their opening matchup was against Anthony Richardson. Yeah, 9 of 19 doesn't look great as far as completion percentage, but he was getting the ball downfield. 212 yards on just 19 attempts, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had 11.2 yards per pass attempt with a passer rating above 101. He also wasn't pressured. He was pressured on just 20.8% of his dropbacks. That was the third lowest of every quarterback in week 1. So Houston also wasn't getting pressure on Anthony Richardson. So do we think Houston's going to be able to put pressure on the rookie in this one? Are they going to be able to pressure Caleb Williams? It's tough to say. I mean, this Houston pass rush was not good last year, but I mean, Will Anderson was a rookie. He also missed some time. They added Daniel Hunter, who was one of the best he's been one of the best edge rushers in the NFL for last 3 or 4 years. So on paper, you would think this Houston Texans pass rush gets better. It didn't look great in week 1, but the Colts pass protection is much better than the Bears pass protection was. So I don't think it's crazy to say this Houston pass rush shows up a little bit in this game. Keep in mind, this Bears offensive line was not great in pass protection last year. They were 21st in pass blocking grade, 26th in adjusted sack rate. Now, the weakest link on their offensive line last year was Lucas Patrick, the center. He really struggled. Justin Fields was getting all kinds of pressure up the middle. He really struggled at the center position. They brought in Ryan Bates to fix that, but Ryan Bates isn't playing in this game. So Coleman Shelton's going to start at center. He was with the Rams last week. He was struggling. Some pressure being generated up the middle on him. I mean, I heard the announcer actually say Coleman Shelton's getting beat again. The announcer on the game actually said that. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watched Coleman Shelton, the center of the Texans, the center of the Bears film last week, but I literally heard the announcer say that. So as far as the issues the Bears had in pass protection last year, the center position doesn't look like that's going to be fixed for this game without Ryan Bates on the field. So I do expect the Texans to be able to generate pressure in this game. Colts have a great offensive line. The Bears don't. Also, I'm a little concerned with Chicago's run game, or lack thereof. Last week, just 22 carries, 3.8 yards per carry, just 84 rushing yards in the game against Tennessee. Now, we do have to mention that Tennessee had a great run defense last year. They allowed just 3.8 yards per carry as a team. That was third best in the NFL. 12th in EPA, 10th in DVOA. But here's the thing, it doesn't get any easier because Houston had an even better run defense last year, allowing just 3.6 yards per carry, which was second in the NFL, 6th in EPA, second in DVOA. So in terms of the Bears' rushing attack, it doesn't get any easier here. They're matched up against another elite run defense. Houston was second in the NFL in adjusted line yards last year. Nobody was able to generate push on the Texans. So the run game was the strength of this Bears offense last year. They averaged 4.5 yards per carry, which was 6th in the NFL. I don't expect it to be there again. It wasn't there last week against Tennessee. I don't expect to be there against Houston. I mean, the Texans just played the Colts. They have Jonathan Taylor. He had 16 carries, 48 yards in the game. Just 3 yards per carry. So, no, I don't expect to see much of a rushing attack from Chicago here. Overall, on this side, I'm not expecting much from the Bears offense here. Like I just said, I don't expect the run to be there. And in terms of Caleb Williams, like I just said earlier, I expect Houston to be able to generate some pressure. Now, he should be able to make some plays through the air on the Texans secondary. That probably is the weakness of this Houston defense, but keep in mind, the Bears receivers aren't healthy either. Adonze's banged up. Keenan Allen, I don't think he's practiced all week, Keenan Allen might not even be playing in this game. And Adonze missed, I think, all week of practice. I think he just participated in one light practice. So as far as Caleb Williams' receiving weapons, I don't even know who's going to be on the field. On the other side, we got the Houston offense. And honestly, if I'm a Texans fan, I saw exactly what I wanted to see in week 1, because we already know what CJ Stroud is talent-wise. I mean, he showed us last year. It's not like, oh, we need to see what we got in CJ Stroud. They know they have their guy. What I would want to see if I was a Houston Texans fan is for them to improve at what they were terrible at last year, which was running the football, controlling the clock. They did exactly that on the road in Indianapolis in week 1. Joe Mixon, their new RB, 30 carries, 159 yards. His longest rush was 13 yards. He was grinding it out. That's exactly what you wanted to see. Houston held the ball for 40 minutes in the game. Exactly what you wanted to see if you're Houston, because look at their rushing numbers from last year. Just 3.7 yards per carry as a team. That's 28th in the NFL, 26th in EPA, 30th in DVOA. Now, I know some of you stat heads out there might be thinking that's not sustainable. Houston just doesn't generate enough push on the offensive line to sustain a consistent rushing attack, and now they're seeing the Bears. I mean, last week they were against the Colts. Not that the Colts had a terrible run defense, but it wasn't great. They were 20th in EPA, 24th in DVOA. Now they're against the Bears, 7th and 6th last season. Houston just doesn't have the offensive line to generate a push against a good run defense like the Bears. But here's the thing on that. First of all, I'm willing to call a little bit of bullshit when it comes to the Bears' run defense. They were the best run defense in football for about half the season. Weeks 1 through 10 last year, 3.15 yards per carry. That's elite. Second in EPA per rush. First in success rate, defensive success rate, run defense success rate, sorry. So yes, weeks 1 through 10, they were probably the best run defense in the NFL. Look at weeks 11 through 18. Allowing over 4.5 yards per carry, 19th in EPA, 23rd in success rate. This Bears run defense fell off. We just saw Chicago open their season up against the Titans, and Tennessee didn't have any sort of spectacular rushing attack last year. They were 14th in the NFL, 4.2 yards per carry, 13th in EPA, 18th in DVOA. The Titans had a pretty average rushing attack last year, and they lost Derrick Henry. Tennessee ran the ball all over the Bears in week 1. 26 carries, 140 rushing yards, 5.4 yards per carry. That was the Titans. And yes, we can look at the Houston offensive line metrics, just 19th in adjusted line yards. And that's a fair point. Does Houston generate enough push on the offensive line to sustain a consistent rushing attack? But here's the thing about Houston's offensive line. If you followed them last year, you know that they were decimated. They led the NFL. Check this out. There's this metric called AGL, and I believe it stands for adjusted games lost. What it measures is how much production you lost due to injuries or inactive players. Houston's offensive line last season, 82.1 adjusted games lost. That's the most on any NFL offensive line since 2000. So not only did they lead the league in adjusted games lost via injuries to the offensive line, it was the most any offensive line has had in 25 years. So how can we even sit here and say, this Houston offensive line, they don't create space in the rushing attack? How can we even say that? We don't even know that. We didn't even see their offensive line last year. They were hurt all year. And want to know what happened in week 1 against the Colts? They actually led the NFL, 6.27 adjusted line yards. They created a lot of space in the rushing attack. So, look, I'm not going to say Houston's going to be one of the best run blocking units in the NFL this year. I'm just saying we should not handicap them as a bad offensive line because we don't know them to be that. They were injured all of last year. And you know what else is different for the Bears defense? They're not playing Will Levis again. I mean, Will Levis, that pick 6 at the end there, that was... Now, I had a winning NFL week 1, so I shouldn't complain. I picked up a unit. It was solid. I had a fun Sunday, made some money. But that Will Levis pick 6 to blow my Titans +4 made me physically ill. CJ Stroud is not Will Levis. We know Will Levis can't handle pressure at all, and the Bears got some. 44.7% pressure. Will Levis was pressured on 44.7% of his dropbacks. That was towards the top of the NFL. And that's one thing I will give to the Bears defense. I said earlier, I think their run defense is a little bit bullshit, but as far as their pass rush, it's not this bad. Last year, they were dead last in the NFL in adjusted sack rate, 26th in pressure rate. They added Montez Sweat midway through the year. It was a little better in the second half, but I actually think a full offseason with the new defensive front, I actually think the Bears pass rush can take a significant step forward this year. The run defense I'm calling bullshit on, but as far as the pass rush, I think it'll actually be pretty solid this year. And Houston's offensive line wasn't great in pass protection. They were 19th in pass blocking grade and 22nd in adjusted sack rate. But again, we can't make judgments about Houston's offensive line. They didn't play. They were hurt all of last year. They were missing 3-4 starters for a lot of the games. What happened in week 1? CJ Stroud was pressured on just 21.1% of his dropbacks, 5th lowest amongst NFL quarterbacks at week 1. So they're looking pretty good in pass protection as well. And look what happens when you give CJ Stroud a clean pocket. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, if it wasn't for Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud would have been the best quarterback in the NFL when given a clean pocket. What else do the Bears do? They run zone coverage. 64.1% of their defensive snaps in coverage last year were in zone, 8th most in the NFL. Want to know who was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL against zone coverage last year? CJ Stroud, 2nd in yards per attempt, 1st in EPA, 4th in turnover worthy play. CJ Stroud cooks on zone coverage. So As far as the matchup on this side, as much as I do think the Bears pass rush will be pretty decent this year, I think Houston's offensive line might be really good. So look, maybe the Bears are able to generate a little bit of pressure. I still like the matchup too much for Houston's offense. I think they're going to be able to run the football. I think that Joe Mixon week 1, I don't think that was an anomaly. I think Houston might be able to run the ball a bit this year, and it's CJ Stroud against zone coverage. He's going to make plays. So I like Houston to be able to score. I think the Bears offense is going to struggle. To me, anything under a touchdown has got to be Houston here. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm seeing a 6 here. I'm going to grab it. Give me the Texans -6. I'd still take it at 6.5. Live show, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll go through every single game on the board. Me, Toast, Prop Beaver, and Steve from Just a Bet Outside. Same group as last week. A ton of people were there last week. It was a lot of fun. Would love to see you there. Again, I want to thank everyone for being cool about this college football Saturday. Such a terrible day, and everyone was real cool about it, and truly appreciate that. Hopefully we bounce back and have a good NFL Sunday. Last Sunday was pretty cool, so hopefully we have a repeat of that. Let's have ourselves a good one. See you guys in the live show. See you in the comments.